In this lesson, we're going to talk about JavaScript objects. So objects, much as we've looked at before, we've already been using these JavaScript objects. We've got output here, and output contains a whole bunch of values. So it's not just one value here that we have in these variables where we have first name John. We actually have multiple values that are contained within this one variable. So as an object, it can contain multiple values. So it's not just that one simple value that the variable has, and all these variables, they're actually containers of data values. So we can use first name and we can expand on that, having different object properties. So when we declare something an object, we can move along and we can add additional properties to that object. So objects are similar to variables, but you can assign multiple values to them. So if we do something like variable person, and this variable is actually going to be an object. So it's another data type that we hadn't looked at before, but objects have different properties, and they can contain values within those properties. So we can have something like age, and we can assign a value of 25. And objects, much like arrays, comma separated. But objects always have these paired values. So I can do something like first name, and I can assign a value to that first name of John. And I can also do last name. And again, assign a value to that last name, and so on. So this actual object is going to contain a whole bunch of information. And I'm going to move this object back over to Dreamweaver so I can open up the console. So I've just copied the code over into Dreamweaver, and this gives us the ability to open up console log, because with console log you can actually see quite a bit of the object. So much like we were able to see with the variable, we're able to see the object is broken down, and it's kind of very easy to look at and access it and work with it. So if we wanted to do person, and if we want to get the person's age, we could do something like this. And we're going to console log out just the person's age. And this gives us the ability to access any one of these values that are available in the object just by calling to that value. So again, we can do first name and pull out their first name. And the benefit of this is that we're able to group everything together. Also, additionally, we're able to do what's called a method. So method is like a function that's going to work within that particular object. And the way that we call over to methods, so just to back up a little bit, there's actually different ways to access the object properties. So we just saw one doing it that way, and the other way is to do it with this kind of bracketed format. And there's going to be different cases for using them, but essentially it's returning it back within the same way. And in order to access a method, we do it the same way as we would with a function. So I'm just going to create one more here, one more object here, but this one's going to be actually a method. So a method is just a function within an object. And much like what we were doing earlier, I'm just going to do full name. And again, remember, it's kind of the same thing that we're doing down here with the different functions. So we actually have to declare function, and everything that's contained within this function is going to be actually the method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to return, and because this method is within the same object, I can actually pull back this information, and all I have to do, I don't have to do person first name like I'm doing down here. I can simply use this. So I can do this, and I can do first name, and this is going to return back that first name value, and I can also do this and do last name, and that's going to return back that last name value. And again, don't forget to close your quotes. And now within the console, if I want to run this function, all I have to do is do person dot full name. See that Dreamweaver, it gives me that option. And now when I go back out to here, I can see that I'm actually able to run that method. And what's happening here is it's returning back all of that information. So when I go back out, I'm going to post it back into CodePen now again. But keep that function there. I'm going to tidy that up a little bit. This is a little bit more readable. And I'm going to output that person there. Going to remove this. And we can see that now we're just doing that full return of that object method, and all it's doing different from calling the individual items, individual property values that are available within person. I'm able to call out and select out that whole particular method, doing it this way. The good thing about objects is you can continue to build up on them. So if I want to have person and I want to have first name, I can declare a brand new value to there. So I can again change it to Mike. And we see that after person, we're redeclaring a new value for first name. And when we go to full name, we've actually changed the value of the first name within person, and that's why when we do the return of first name, it's no longer John, it's going to be Mike, and that's why we're outputting Mike Smith within the output there. So again, a little bit of playing around with this in order to get the proper functionality of the objects, but you do have the ability to really work with these objects, perform these methods within the objects, and really build out some really great JavaScript using objects. So definitely they're a lot more versatile than arrays, and you can do a whole bunch more. And the good thing again is about that grouping factor, that we're actually able to group together everything here so that we know that this is a person and this is all the contents for that person, all grouped together under one object, person. And then we're able to call to it and access it from our JavaScript.